I'm back. Please enjoy your meal and bath. It was my husband who ran off with his mistress and left when he appeared at the entrance for the first time in 5 years. He was acting all high and mighty as if he had been living a normal life until that morning. I couldn't believe he was the kind of person who would abandon me and our 2 daughters. And as soon as he barged into the living room, my husband saw the person there and straightened up. I'm sorry. That person is my first wife. On the sofa, a man was smiling and feeding him. And after this, my husband's life would change forever. Our family had 2 cute daughters and my husband, a construction worker. My husband was busy working as the sales manager of a small and medium-sized company he had joined as a new graduate. At the time, my eldest daughter, who was in the 4th grade of elementary school, and my second daughter, were both bright and obedient children, and I enjoyed watching them grow up every day. On weekends, we would go on picnics with the family, and when the sports day was approaching, I would accompany them to practice. Those ordinary days were my happiness. But now I think that all that life was fake. My husband's company also had a junior from the university, Shino's boyfriend, working in construction. Although he said that he was very young and excellent, my husband would complain that he was smart but didn't know the work site, so he couldn't be used and it was a problem. It's hard to take care of someone just because he's a junior from university. At that time, I even appeared in the construction. However, it was only after everything fell apart that I realized that he was actually a much more sincere person. I noticed that my husband, who was married for 10 years, was acting strangely. Until then, he would come home at 8 p.m. at the latest, but he started saying that he had an important consultation and didn't come back until after the date. He started going out on holidays with Sokusa because he had urgent work. You've been busy lately. Oh, you wouldn't understand. You're a carefree housewife. Even in conversations with Tama, he started to say cold things like that. As these awkward days continued, one day when I began to suspect my husband's behavior, I received a message from a strange woman on my husband's cell phone saying, "Thank you for yesterday." I saw a message saying, "See you next time." By chance, my smartphone was facing up when I passed by, and at that moment, I felt a tightness in my chest. Then, I asked Koji without thinking, and he answered without any apologies that it was a girl who works at the reception desk at the company. Why are you exchanging messages like this? We met just the 2 of you? Shut up. We got close as we saw each other every day. Is he not planning to hide it? I was dizzy with my husband's response, which seemed to be open. You're not dating, right? I was only asking as a joke, but when I heard my husband say, yes, but, my mind went blank. Wait. You're kidding, right? I can't believe it. Break up right away. I get it. I won't contact you anymore. I was surprised that he was cheating, but he readily admitted it, so I missed the opportunity to make it happen. I was wondering if that would really be the end of my relationship with the woman, but Koji promised on the spot, so the conversation ended for the time being. However, from then on, my husband began to insult me without any hesitation, even in front of our children. I feel sorry for them, being raised by such a useless mother. You say such terrible things. But you're a full-time housewife and you're not doing anything. You haven't created a home that makes me, her husband, want to come back. After saying that, she threw her chopsticks at the half-eaten plate, went out, and never came back that night. In our home, which was supposed to be peaceful, cruel words started flying around on a daily basis, and the atmosphere became miserable. Meanwhile, my daughter's smiles disappeared and they stopped talking at home. However, I needed money for my children's education, so I decided to endure it somehow in order to help them with their lessons and dreams for the future. I'm sure things will go back to normal someday. It's better for children to have two parents, no matter what they are. I spent my days telling myself that. But my mind and body were screaming. I couldn't sleep properly at night, my appetite was gone, and the face I saw in the mirror was getting thinner and thinner. One day, I happened to see my husband and a young woman walking at a nearby supermarket, and I felt like I had been hit in the head. The moment I saw the two of them holding hands and laughing happily, I felt that she must be Ayaka, the woman he had been cheating with. Didn't you break up with that girl? A store clerk who happened to be passing by called out to me with a worried look on her face, and that was the first time I realized that I was crying. What? Oh, no, I'm fine. I made the excuse that I had a little dirt in my eye, but my heart was completely at its limit. Then, a few days later, on a weekday afternoon, when I returned from shopping, I noticed that the entrance was different than usual. When I stepped into the living room, I couldn't find the luxury watch that was supposed to be displayed on the TV stand. I had a bad feeling and hurriedly opened the closet, and my husband's brand name suits and shirts had disappeared. With my head spinning, I suddenly realized something and quickly took out my cell phone. With trembling hands, I introduced my bank balance, and the numbers that appeared on the screen were unbelievable. It had to be a lie. The 5 million yen savings that I had the last time I checked was now just 200,000 yen. I immediately called my husband, but the message, "Your call is from a customer," just kept repeating. I was stunned by the unbelievable things that were happening, and then I received an email on my cell phone. It was a short message from my husband saying that he was quitting his job and starting a new life with Ayaka. He was sending me divorce papers by mail. I stood there for a while, wondering if my marriage of over 10 years could end so easily. And from that day on, my life changed. When my husband left, my daughters were a big shock. The most painful thing was that my daughter completely withdrew from the company and refused to go to school. Even though I told them that it wasn't true, they would say that my dad left because I was a bad child, and there were days when I cried with them because I felt sorry for them. But that wasn't the only difficult part. I found out that my husband had been taking out card loans and cash loans without my knowledge, and I started receiving frequent emails about them. I was a very caring person, but I had to protect my children, so I tried my best to motivate myself. And with the support of my parents at home, I managed to get through each day. One day, I received a phone call from an unexpected place. Hello. It's been a while. It's Shino. Do you have a moment? It was Shino's boyfriend, Nata, who was a junior in my husband's university days and worked at the same company. I hadn't heard any good things about him from Hiroji, so I was a little wary, but in my conversation with Nata, I learned a shocking truth. I can't believe it. But in this situation, I'm the only one who can protect my children. I felt this way again, so I started working part-time at a nearby supermarket. I got up at 5 a.m. to make lunchboxes, sent my children to school, and then worked from 9 a.m. to the evening. When I got home, I helped with housework and homework. After the children went to bed, I studied accounting. Starting from such basic things? At first, I was desperate to remember, but as I understood each thing one by one, I gained confidence. I've been good at numbers since I was a child, so the basics of bookkeeping went into my head easily. Thanks to the daily accumulation, I made progress little by little, and after passing the third-level bookkeeping exam, I immediately decided to aim for the second-level exam. Then my part-time work was appreciated and I was hired as a gym staff member. Occasionally, Shino-san, who was worried about me, would come to check on me, and the children gradually became attached to me. He always listened to the children kindly and sometimes helped them with their math homework. Before I knew it, my daughter, who had refused to post, was starting to smile again. After that, I successfully passed the second-level bookkeeping exam and decided to start looking for a job with better conditions. By the time I was able to get a full-time job in accounting, 3 years had passed since my husband passed away. I feel like I have finally regained a stable life. Since then, everything has been going smoothly with my work and my children. One afternoon, while I was spending such fulfilling days, the intercom suddenly rang. Who could it be? E.H. I looked into the monitor and gasped. There was a man with paper stretched out, clothes covered in threads, and bloodshot eyes. It was definitely my ex-husband. He was so worn down that he was unrecognizable, but his attitude was still as arrogant as ever. Look, Misa, you've just left, so open it up. I can hear it through the monitor. I was frightened by the obviously drunk voice, but I approached the door tentatively. When I opened the front door, the strong smell of alcohol hit my nose. My ex-husband was as familiar as if there had been no gap of 5 years.
I'm back. Please take care of the food in the backstage.
I was speechless at the situation, but I regained my composure and decided to deal with it. Oh, it's been a while. Well, when I came up, I handed him my slippers with a graceful glance, and he looked surprised, but he quickly returned to his proud expression.
Of course. It's my house, after all.
Saying that, he stepped up and entered the living room, and noticed a certain person sitting on the sofa, and the next moment his expression changed. He stood there with his blood-curled face straight. The person stood up and approached him with a refreshing smile, saying to him in a trembling voice, "Why are you here?" "Wow, Koji, it's been a while. I'm sorry." After that incident, my ex-husband's attitude changed drastically, and this time he began apologizing as if he was trembling. I calmly opened up to him as I watched him tremble. "Oh, I'm sorry. I remarried your junior." "Yes, in fact, Shino proposed to me, and with the blessings of my daughters, we decided to move forward." My ex-husband's eyes were wide open, but they soon turned to anger. "What? Switching to another man just because of cheating? Are you still my wife?" I sighed deeply at his words, ignoring his own actions. "It's not just cheating. Why are you shaking so much when you see Shino?" Seeing his panicked state, my junior took a step forward. "We know everything you've done." Shino calmly confronted my ex-husband. "I had refrained from reporting to the police until now, but if you're going to cause any more trouble for them, wait a minute. I just made him do it." In fact, my ex-husband had stolen 20 million yen of his body money before quitting his job. I was contacted by Shino, the company's accounting manager, to let me know the facts. At that time, I was wondering whether to file for divorce and was hesitating because I couldn't get over it. However, after hearing about the construction work from Shino, I made up my mind and filed it immediately. It seems that my husband used the money he stole to fund his relationship with Ayaka and for living expenses, and he didn't have a penny left? That was a pretty good habit for that. I was found even after practicing to forge my signature. My husband was trying to pin the blame on Shino. I also know that the receptionist was bragging to her colleagues at work online. Oh, what on earth? Hirochika, who was starting to get anxious about various things being revealed without his knowledge, gave him a cold look. It seems that she was happily spreading the word that Koji was willing to take risks to look after me. What? So there is plenty of evidence. No, maybe he's just missing her a little. Thanks to you, we were saved, but the blood had completely drained from my ex-husband's face, and his expression was filled with the desire to run away from the scene. I couldn't do anything because you were missing, but now I can officially sue the sword next to me. Please. My ex-husband suddenly fell to his knees on the floor and started crying. I'm done for. I was abandoned by you so beautifully, and I've used up all my money and I can't do anything. However, even if I cry like that, there's no way that the fact that I stole the company's money will be erased. Hey, Misa, please persuade me too. Please. What are you saying, a person who left me and my child and went out with an affair partner? I couldn't close my mouth when I saw G's too selfish request. I have no obligation to help you. I coldly cut off my ex-husband, who desperately clung to me with tears in his eyes. Oh, there's nothing I can do, so goodbye. Please don't get involved with our daughters. When I told him with a big smile, my ex-husband's face turned red and he collapsed to his knees. Wait, please. Let me try again. Ignoring Koji's pitiful sobs, we kicked him out of the house. After that, my ex-husband was sued by his company for the illegal embezzlement. Apparently the woman he had an affair with was also accused of joint ownership, knowing where he came from. Of course, they were both fired and asked to pay back the 20 million yen they had spent. Now they're working day jobs, working like horses from morning to night, but it's their own fault. Meanwhile, there's been a new change in our family. We're going to have a little sister or brother. I'm looking forward to it. Shino and I have been blessed with a new life, and our daughters are overjoyed to hear that, and we love the baby growing in my belly every day. I was filled with excitement for the bright future ahead, as the setting sun shining through the window illuminated me.